We as a black culture in this country, we put too much emphasis on celebrities. That's the problem.
Welcome to the slip where the South say.
There's an energy moving around the United States. In 2025, it just started. It's a dark energy, as far as I'm concerned. It's all built around power and wealth. It seems that money has become the god for a lot of people in this country. When money becomes the motivating factor, a lot of people will do a lot of things for that wealth. James Brown once said, you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. My man was right on point. Because today, what I see a lot going on in Black America, there are a lot of people who are willing to compromise their integrity for a buck. We have discarded a lot of the morals and values that our ancestors had, all for a shiny coin. It doesn't stop and start with celebrities. In every aspect of life, we chasing a dollar. There's nothing wrong with financial success, not at all. But at what cost? Capitalism was built off the backs of blacks in this country. Now we've embraced capitalism. There's nothing wrong, like I say, with finance and money, but capitalism only respects the dollar bill. With that type of mentality, I got to get mine, you get yours. And what has happened is our culture, our community has become fragmented. All you have to do is look around. Everything I'm saying right now, you can see it for yourself. It's in our music, it's in our movies, it's in our comedy, it's all around us. We have given up our morals and values for money. Every day, we monkey shine in comedy, in music, in movies. We are willing to go out on a limb and do buffoonish things for a dollar bill. And that's what I see. And so the Civil War really never ended. It never ended. It just morphed into something different. It's about capital, money, wealth, prosperity. There's still a slave mentality going on, but it's just not in the physical. It's in the financial sector, and it plays on our psyche. We as a black culture in this country, we put too much emphasis on celebrities. That's the problem. If we spend more time working on elevating within ourselves, our homes, our block, and our community, we wouldn't have time to worry about what's going on with this particular artist or this particular actor or this particular entertainer, because we'll be too busy making the lives of our family members and ourselves better. Black America, we spending too much time playing checkers while everyone around us is playing chess. We have to start thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead rather than living for the moment and today. So what are we going to do to move forward? Are we going to continue to be absorbed in being entertained all of the time? Or are we going to stop, crack a book, pause, look at things for what they really are, rather than listening to the rhetoric, start using our eyes to see the moves that are being taken place on the board? Quit listening to the rhetoric and start watching the moves. They've already mapped out what they're going to do after Obama won the first election. And now it's all starting to come into play. And unfortunately, some who look like me, they have drank the tea. Our grandparents and great-grandparents, they didn't have a lot. But one thing that they did have was their self-respect and their dignity. They took pride in that. They felt like that is what separated them from those of European descent, because they seen a lot of the animalistic nature and trait that was on display by those of European descent during slavery. We've lost the moral and respect factor in our culture. I don't have the answers. I'm just a Southern man with common sense. And my common sense tells me that what used to be wrong is now right. What used to be up is now down, and vice versa. Every time Black America starts to highlighting the best qualities of our culture, we are always hit with a bunch of bullshit. That's by design. But we get too wrapped up in what's going on to even pay attention to it. In the 1970s, when James Brown created Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, the men quit perming their hair, and the women did too. They started wearing afros. They started dressing different. That record was hot, and it meant a lot in our community. Fast forward, hip hop came along. And during the early 80s, there was a lot of music that was being made, and there wasn't no one particular type of sound in the hip hop that was dominating the music. But there was one that really resonated around 86, 88, 89. It was a movement of Black empowerment. The leaders of that particular genre was Public Enemy. We had a music sound that was moving, and hip hop was the driving force, but the message was about love and self. And then what happened? Crack came along. And so we started trying to deal with that in the music. Night of the Living Basshead. What happened after that? Blacks started wearing medallions, started wearing red, black, and green, and the Tams. There was a resurgence of Black love and self-respect. But it didn't last long, because in the late 80s, it flipped. with the introduction of gangster rap. There's no one person in our culture who's responsible for what happened with that coming along and being prominent as it was. Because at the end of the day, black people could not control those industries. Now, you might have made that in your hood, but there was somebody with deep pockets said, yeah, I want to put that on display. And they decided to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars back then on music videos to promote that. If you ever get a chance, go back and look up an interview that Too Short gave years ago when he talked about how he wanted to create a positive album. A whole album, nothing but positive music, no profanity laced, pornography, lyric, none of that. Too Short said that he went to the executive over the record label at Jive. He said he spoke to him about creating a positive album. And he told him, okay, make us your most nastiest, low down, raunchiest album that you could think of. That's what he told Short. So Too Short did that. He created that album. And when he turned it in, he stepped back to the executive. All right, I'm ready now. I gave you what you want. So, we finna start working on my next album, that positive album we talked about. Nah, they didn't greenlight that album. Now, this is what Too Short said. Where I'm going with this is this, man. There has to be a shifting narrative in the culture in order for us to move and go forward. We have got to start mentally investing in ourselves. We got to start throwing off these shackles of admiration for somebody because they're on our television screen, on our tablets, and on our phone. We got to start throwing off the idolization of somebody because they know how to sing, dunk, run, and throw. It's time for us to get rid of that and start embracing intellect. We got to stop making our kids feel bad because they're using the correct grammar in America. We have to quit making our kids feel guilty because they want to go home and work on a science project or read a book. I would think that there were more blacks going off to college before the 60s and after Reconstruction than we have in college now. And how could that be when most of these parents was poor, dirt poor, saving every little coin and penny that they made during the week and putting it aside for their kid to go off and pay for their tuition and their books because they put a value on education. They knew that was going to get them at least a fair opportunity and a chance. But there are way more opportunities for us now than they had back then. Before the doors got open and they started dangling them coins in front of us and say, I'll give you this if you do that, or if you act like that, or if you put on that. Before we got to those opportunities that they would even give us money to humiliate ourselves, we were focused on building ourselves mentally, intellectually. That was the gold mine for us. Nowadays, the gold mine is the gold coin. And once we get the gold coins, what are we doing? We quick to give it back. We go out and buy the most expensive luxury items, cars, homes, and clothes. And we want the world to see us driving that fancy car, living in that big luxury home, and wearing the latest designer clothes. We're distracted. We are distracted. I'm asking you, what are you going to do in 2025? That's going to be different from 2024. As it pertains to your spiritual, mental, and emotional health and well-being. I know what I'm doing. I refuse to be distracted by idle gossip in our community about one another. I refuse to give in to the salacious details about another man or woman's demise and chiming in one way or the other about it. That's what I'm not going to do in 2025, is I'm going to continue to cultivate my understanding of this world that I'm living in, because there are some things going on in this country and in this government that there's no way in the world that I should not be trying to understand what's going on around me. Because the more I know about the way this government is being transformed and the things that it's looking to implement, is going to affect the lives of all Americans. But as we know, when America gets a cold, Black America get pneumonia. I'm G. Lewis. Take care of yourself. Take care of your people. To my next video, God bless.